Welcome back, y'all. It's another episode. Not even of What You On. This is a Ujama series episode. Right now, we're gonna talk with our friend, our brother,
the Black academic Zach London.
Yes, sir. And I wanted to bring him here because he's not an expert in any way, but he's more read up. No pun. It's really literally you read up on stuff.
Yeah.
So he's more read up upon like socialism and in context of Pan-African socialism and how like collectively as African people in the past we used to operate in a different way than how we do nowadays. So I'm going to talk about like the differences in different economic systems and how we could also benefit from socialism, even though it has a stigma in our country that we can really see. I feel like I was talking earlier about the radical socialist Raphael Warnock. And if you live in Georgia, you done heard that at least 30, 40 times. I think the lady said it like 19 times in a debate.
Every single time she said his name.
Yeah. It kind of got a catch to it, but it's like, I don't know if it helped her cause.
Nah, because it made me want to vote for him more.
Yeah. But just want to kind of talk about just kind of evaluate the stigma towards socialism and also the downfalls of capitalism. Like the system we're in now has a lot of downfalls, and we can see those every day. I was telling him earlier, like when you go downtown in any city, really, like I live in the suburbs, and like off the highway, there's somebody holding a sign saying basically that they out of luck, and it's like it's always going to be the people that are struggling. But I feel like in this system that we're in now, there are way too many people. And then there are the people who work every day who don't get paid a fair wage relative to what the cost of everything is. And they struggling to, have health care. Like that's an issue because people really can't go to the hospital and be carefree. Because they have to worry about a $50,000 bill later on or whatever it is. And it's a lot of different things that people struggle with that necessarily wouldn't be there if we had a different system in place. So I kind of want to talk about that with Zach today. So what's the name of it? I think it's scientific socialism is something that Zach taught me. It's a word that I picked up from him. So can you give a brief overview of the definition?
All right, so I am a member of the All African People's Revolutionary Party, AAPRP, founded by Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, Ahmed Sekou Touré, with the proponents of Amilcar Cabral and Kwame Touré, where it's a Pan-African organization under scientific socialism with the objective, like Pan-Africanism is the objective. And if you don't know what that is the total unity of all African people and people that are also descendants of Africa in the diaspora. It's for us to just unify together and come together so that we can help each other thrive. And one of the big things for the AAPRP is scientific socialism, but it's really with the influence of Nkrumah and Sekou Touré as far as Nkrumism, Touréism. And this was more so just bringing it to a more African-centered perspective on the scientific socialism, where, for example, we were talking about earlier how in Africa, originally, pre-colonially, there wasn't a word for cousin. There's not a word for old folks' home. There's not a word for certain things that here in this society we kind of have to worry about. So essentially within what we're trying to thrive for is where if you're an elder, you don't have to worry about your pension or something like that. You're taken care of. If you have those hospital bills, it's gonna be taken care of already. You wouldn't see homeless on the streets, right? They would, or people experiencing homelessness. My bad. You wouldn't see that because they would be taken care of. The goal of a society is for all of us to be thriving together and not have anybody actually struggling to worry about their next paycheck.
Right. I feel like when you said striving together, I'm thinking about how our society is so individualistic, but also I think going back to the quote, like when you say together, it's one thing to have Pan-Africanism and for all African peoples to be united, but it's also for just the country you live in to have this concept of we can do more together than we can apart. So my quote of the day is, sowing animosity between poor whites and poor blacks is the easiest way to maintain the status quo. And for me, that status quo just means there are a number of people who have gained access and gained enough wealth and opportunity that they can kind of control the major systems and the major rules and way things work inside America, especially in the economy. But what's your take on that?
In honor of MLK today, as we all know, and if you don't know, before he was assassinated, he actually started on a Poor People's Campaign, where he actually was moving towards socialistic ideas and whatnot, and trying to make sure that we don't have this divide based off of race, realizing we're all kind of broke. Right. Like, we're all getting screwed over by the same entities.
Say we're broke because the system's broken.
Exactly. Well, is it broken?
Well, it's not broken. It's broken in its actual, like, conceptually, its philosophy is incorrect.
Right.
The philosophy of the system is broken.
Right. It's supposed to be able to have it where everybody has the opportunity to become a millionaire, a billionaire, or something like that, right? But in reality, we've been running this system for centuries now, and it's not working.
Right.
So that's kind of the fallacy within this system, that it actually is working though for those people that are in those positions. Like if you are, I like to say, I forgot where I heard this quote from, but it says capitalism is socialism for the rich. They always get the bailouts. They always, like we just saw with the stimulus check, like it's trillions of dollars going out there, but who's actually getting the bulk of it? Right. You know, when we had, I think it was 2008 with the crash.
The banks get the bailout.
Right, the banks got the bail. We didn't really get anything from that. So again, like capitalism is more so for businesses. It's more so for the wealthy man. It's not necessarily for the everyday working person. So that's kind of what that quote really makes me think of, because it's kind of like we're all out here struggling, but we're trying to look better than the next person, or trying to become that millionaire, billionaire
at the expense of other people. I think my main thing about it all, like I don't care what, you know, political side you're trying to err on or whatever you're trying to be. Like I'm more so about let's collectively do stuff versus doing it by ourselves, especially at the expense of other people, especially when they look like you. But especially, I mean, anybody, if this is your neighbor, you're supposed to love thy neighbor. You know, that don't mean you know, make them pay $100 for something that's only worth $50. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like that's something that's in general we can get away from. But this culture, like being one individualistic and being capitalist, it's exploitive. Like the main thing is it exploits people for either lack of knowledge or the lack of like the power or whatever it is. Like if you don't have leverage in a certain situation, then you out of luck.
Exactly.
So it's like we all working 9 to 5, 40 years or whatever for a little piece of the pie, when really we should have the whole pie, you know, split up a little bit more equally. Not saying that we don't have to work for it, but I'm saying we can benefit more so from helping each other versus like, nah, I'm gonna get mine, you get yours. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk about a few ideas that are already, like a few concepts and a few things that already exist that are already like pretty socialist in their essence, and we kind of accept them as normal. The first one being social security. Like, you know, like you were saying, older people are already taken care of. That's something that was brought about in the New Deal, right? And I mean, it's not like we're gonna say take grandma's, you know, one of her primary checks away from her because that's socialist. Who's gonna say that? That's not popular. It has no political weight to it. Like nobody's ever gonna do that. What else? Public education. I mean, to educate people is to like basically empower them to change and know how a system works. I feel like that's why I have this series, like just to educate people on how stuff works. But I feel like in school they skip over how the system really, really works, and like the methods behind the madness. And unions, like labor protection, all that stuff, that's socialist. That's protecting people, and that's not profit driven. You know what I'm saying? Anything that's not profit driven, and it's centered around helping people and like being better for as a collective, that's not capitalism. But we have so much of it already, but somehow it becomes like a taboo, like, oh no, that socialist stuff don't work. You know, and then people try to spin it, call it democratic socialism. Like, bro, it's just socialism. Social as in like, ain't that like the interaction of people or something like that? Like,
yeah, basically.
Right. So it's just about people more so than it is about capital. Because capital isn't necessarily a person. It's not. Nah. And when capitalism first really came to this country and they started executing it, we were the capital. You see what I'm saying? So it's, you know, the stigma is just, I don't know, it throws me off a lot. But you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, historically, for instance, you mentioned public schools.
Yeah, public education.
We kind of pushed that.
Yeah,
I say we and some of black folks. Like, we started off having to have these public schools because we couldn't get into the white schools. You said unions. The interesting thing about the unions is that even our police have them. So therefore, like, they even know the importance of a union to make sure that, hey, I still have a livelihood after. Like, if I have, and granted, this is not a field that you want to make a mistake in.
Yeah.
But if I make a mistake, I know that my livelihood isn't threatened. Where it seems like here in the South, they make it where people are so anti-unions. However, they actually save the actual person. You know, like without a union, you're actually just at the mercy of the company.
Right. And that's what unions came in place to protect people from what was it, the golden age, the gilded age with Roosevelt and Hoover. Is it Hoover?
You're talking about with all the monopolies and
all that stuff. Yeah, the Pullman, all of them. That's all people who were exploiting people, making them work in conditions that were basically inhumane.
Exactly.
Like they were making white people work in those conditions. When they were doing slavery was already that and worse. But let's go another topic.
One more thing, they even say, for instance, the capitalist, if it wasn't for people more on the social side, you would still be seeing child labor going on.
Right.
Like that is the evil per se of capitalism. Like it knows no boundaries.
Right.
All it cares about is profit at the end of the day. It's not worried about your humanity and your livelihood and whatnot. It's profit driven.
Right. So going back to I want to touch on like the specifics, like how does stuff look, you know, when we're changing our mindset and our perspective and like how the system works. Like, do we still have like the same kind of jobs, or are they the same jobs and a different wage, or like what is it?
It would essentially be where everybody is valuable. As we see with 2020, we had essential workers that before 2020 was just people flipping burgers,
right,
or were just delivery truck drivers. Like they weren't essential back then.
Right.
You know, it just seemed like it was another expendable person, like somebody you could just get rid of in a given day. However, when the whole country shuts down, those same exact people that you really didn't care about were the same ones that you had out there still delivering packages
for the same amount of money.
Same amount. Like I know at one point I was actually working for UPS. I didn't get any hazard pay. I was working for UPS for a little bit and I didn't get any hazard pay. So I know for a fact, it just seems as though you would want to care for your people that are actually out there doing the simple things that help make your life a little bit better.
Yeah.
So
I like that. That makes sense. There are certain companies that the CEO, especially like smaller companies, like out west especially, that the CEO, the founder, he's not making much more than the workers. Like it's more equitable. The whole concept is that we all make a good living off of this company. Like, so if the company profiting, and we're not like exploiting people and ripping people off, then we all gonna profit, you know, more equal than we are not. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not the person up top making the most money. Like and I watched a video on this. Like CEOs make so much money because a lot of their performance pay, like bonus pay, is tied to how the stock is doing. So even with the stock being, if it's going up, they're making more money. But at the same time, they can just be shifting money around, like delaying the losses in a way that it is always going to make it look good in the public's eye. Because, you know, all you got to do is control public opinion and the stock can go up in value. But as soon as they leave, they can, you know, let it be a wash. And it's all whatever. But at the same time, you got employees, you know, you paying minimum wage to people. And like, I don't see how you can live off what $20,000 a year for minimum wage. It's something really
impossible.
$7.25 an hour.
Yeah,
still can't see that. But that's what he like. So basically, it's just saying it's more money to go around for everybody because there's a ton of it. Like, I think the one thing that disconnects is like you see the stock market going up. They always talk about the stock market as far as the economy, but it's like how many people can take care of their homes, their children, and get the food they need. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the real measure of how stuff is going.
And still just live a life.
Right.
You know, not have your whole entire life be working for making somebody else more money.
Right.
Touching on that, I can't remember the CEO's name. I want to like put a little slash and slide or something, but the guy he made his whole company where everybody's got $70,000. And when he first came out telling the press about this, most of the capitalists and everybody was saying like this is never gonna work, and they were saying this is gonna be an example of why we shouldn't move towards socialistic type of tendencies and whatnot. So here we are years later, and the guy, he posted on his Twitter, he posted statistics of how even during COVID, people still got raises. Like people still progressed within their actual personal lives and actually still got to live a regular, good, positive life even when the whole country seemed like it was going down the hole. So I would personally look at him as a pure example of why socialism can actually work. Because here is a CEO that could be making like billions possibly, that he actually made the conscious decision to actually care about the people that work for him.
Not all for the upside. I think another thing I'm thinking about too now is that, you know, there's a big health insurance debate, or insurance in general, but especially health insurance. And it's like we're talking about, you know, their bills already taken care of if you pay the taxes into a collective system. But I'm like, even in a capitalistic country, I went to a school and we talked about risk management. And like the law of large numbers, the law of large numbers basically says, you know, you can have a lot of people who, you know, may die or whatever it may be. If an insurance company or whoever's taking on this risk is big enough, it's not going to matter on a grand scale if pretty much everybody's doing well and they're healthy. So everybody's paying into a system and they only got to pay out so much. Even if this one portion goes really, really bad real quickly, everybody else has been paying in. If they're healthy, then the company's doing good and the people are doing good. So it's like, even from socialist or a capitalist side of things, like collective insurance makes sense for everybody.
Exactly.
But somehow, you know, it's such a big fight about it. But from what I was taught, it all makes sense. So does it make sense in like what you learned and read up on?
I would say, for me, Cuba's a perfect example of how it can make sense. A lot of people that are proponents for capitalism think that just because you move towards socialism and you're guaranteed a healthy life, that you're not going to want to work. However, that's based on how you set character within people and your society. So going back to schools, like what are you really teaching your youth that are going to come up and have to be the ones to take care of the elders at some point? I believe it was a video by one of our AAPRP cadres named Jamu. Shout out to you. I don't know if you ever gonna see this, but he was talking about when he was in Cuba that he was about to try to throw away some trash, and I may be getting him mixed up with Asada Shakur because he actually interviewed Asada Shakur in the past as well. So I might be getting it mixed up. So forgive me if I get this. But the story goes where they were about to go throw away their own trash, but there was somebody that worked at the restaurant that their job is to literally take care of all the trash, and they were getting mad at them because they were about to take their own trash in the trash.
It's a pride in their job.
Exactly. They have pride in what they're doing because they know that they're contributing to a collective. In Cuba, everybody knows they have the best doctors. You may have tariffs and everything by the U.S. that's kind of ostracizing Cuba in a way to make them have to deal with certain situations that they really shouldn't have to deal with, because as we know, when the U.S. doesn't like you, then it's gonna be hard to actually work with other countries that are actually in good graces with the U.S. But everybody wants Cuba's doctors. Even when Hurricane Katrina came, Cuba actually was willing to send doctors out there to New Orleans to actually help take care of people, and the U.S. was like, nah, we can't have y'all.
Wow.
So like in Cuba, if you were to have high blood pressure, have a stroke, anything, your bill is taken care of, and you know that you have the best doctors that are going to be able to take care of you. So I don't necessarily see why or how somebody could be an adversary to something so great like that. So that to me, that's an example of how this could work, how it can be, how it is in a society where people don't even really look at it. They kind of look at it, they'll see Cuba as somewhere like Fidel Castro trying to take over the world or help Russia or something like that. But Cuba is actually a paradise when it comes down to your health.
The next thing I want to get into a little bit is I know everybody, I know us included, we got student loan debt. So how does lending and student loan, the loan concept in general, and then how does it apply to education? If we do have public education, is all public education free? Or is it
public education should be free in this type of, in socialism, because think about it. Why would you not want
everybody to be educated?
Exactly. if people are, again, this when you're kind of thinking with the capitalist mindset, like as Kwame Ture says, capitalism is not just the economic system, it's something that actually makes you think a certain type of way.
So basically, with the capitalism, it's also a mindset. It's like, what am I getting out of this is one thing.
Right.
But when it comes to public education, you basically saying that it should be free because you want everybody to have, the tools and the knowledge base and the skills to actually be productive in society.
Now,
as far as loans,
right.
why would you why is that? Where would that go?
I would say you wouldn't actually have to worry about loans, because that would already be taken care of. Again, anything in socialism, and socialism is in educators, like in academia definitions. Socialism is like a precursor for communism. Now, communism, based off of what we've seen in the past, can lead to negative things, but if that is the case, then it's not necessarily communism, because the goal of communism is to erase the class-based standard. It's to make it where we're all equals in this society. Communism is necessarily trying to move towards a true equal society,
equal across the board. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a egalitarian type of environment that we say we want to thrive towards, but recently with studies that I've seen with my students, they did, I forgot, it was like a TED Talk where they actually do a study and find out if people really want everybody to be equal pay across the board. And it turns out that's not something everybody really wants.
Right.
So I don't necessarily, when people that worry about communism actually happening and people are trying to call like Biden, somebody working for communists and stuff I don't necessarily see that happening.
Yeah.
That like it was, the U.S. like people here is like the wild west. If you're willing to storm the Capitol off of like false information and the president telling you like to pull up and whatnot, I definitely don't see communism being a threat at all to us.
Not even in the future. So, I think it's also an incentive thing. It's like, somebody has to feel like they can get more out of doing more, because even in socialism, you're going to get your fair share for what you do. So if you put in more work, you should be able to get more pay.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We're not saying that people shouldn't earn for what they do and if they provide in value. It's more so like stop exploiting people for, the value that they do provide and help more people provide value versus just looking out for you and yours only.
You'll be taken care of, essentially.
That sounds like a political slogan, like, my name is Zach and I approve this message and you will be taken care of. It really do, bro. Oh man. But on another note, I wanted to talk about a few solutions that I've seen recently that are pretty interesting as far as like kind of mixing the idea of collective like growth as far as economically. The first one you just put me on is Susu. It's an app, it's a platform.
Yeah, so Susu Society is a platform. Y'all can check it out, sususociety.com. It's by my homeboy Jehudi, where we're trying to get back to where our heritage, our cultural roots kind of have a start. Most people, when you hear Susu today, like if you are in those scamming environments, you might hear Susu and think of somebody trying to scam you. That's not originally how it's supposed to be ran. Susu is supposed to be like collective economics. That's coming together, being able to figure it out with one another. Where essentially one of the old-fashioned ways that many other cultures, like it's not just a African cultural thing, although it is in our culture, but Hispanic families or Latinx families do this. Asian families do this, where essentially it's kind of like what would you say earlier? It's like a fund.
A trust.
Like a trust fund, essentially, where everybody monthly would be putting in. Let's say we put in $100. Let's say you have 10 people, you put in $100 every month. When it's your month to get the money, you're gonna basically get $1,000. Now, what you're not just getting $1,000 to go splurge on some Jordans or go buy something that's not necessarily gonna be contributing or helping you get out of your rut. Like a Susu is supposed to be a starter to get you going financially, so that you won't have to necessarily worry about anything. Where it's really something where you would put like a down payment on like a business or something like that. Like it's where everybody's trying to come together to become better. Now, what Jehudi's got going on is for us to come together for like social wealth. So you said social capital earlier, where for me, like I'm an educator. I'm not somebody who's a big businessman. Like I don't have big bank, you know. So it's like I'm not coming in there in the sense of like, yo, I know exactly how to do this, and I'm gonna tell y'all how to do this. It's more so come as you are. What gift do you have? Like I educate, so I can know how to basically help somebody else with curriculums or writing lessons or something like that. I run lectures. I do lectures on my page. Like it's come with whatever gift you have. If you work for IBM, well, you take whatever knowledge that you have for that skill, for that job, and you come bring it back to your people. Like you come bring it back to somebody else and try to help them thrive within their personal life so that we all thrive together.
And it's free.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's something that essentially when we start going back to Kwanzaa, you know, living it every day, collective economics, you said Ujamaa, right? So like that is essentially what that would be. Like Susu society is a form of Ujamaa.
What's up? No, it's fine. I'm learning this just today. Like it's a great thing that like, you know, we came here to shoot a video, but I'm learning about something that we need to put in the video. But I think I'm gonna do a video about that and like a couple other things that I've come across that are like also building up that collective community that we all need so we can all connect to each other versus, you know, I feel like a lot of us always do stuff separately that is good, but we don't know that somebody else is over here doing it in the same area. Like, I mean, I'm guessing he's based out of Atlanta, right?
Right. He's here in Atlanta. We were just tapped into his event and he was talking about just like what he just now said. Somebody right next to you might be able to help you out and you just don't even know it yet.
Right.
So, yeah, if y'all want to tap into that, please do. It's on Instagram, Susu Society. Again, the website is sususociety.com, and definitely tap in and check us out. Like, it's a bunch of good people trying to help other good people come together and accomplish our dreams.
Right. The last thing I came across something real interesting. It's this ETF called the Adesina ETF. The company is based out of San Francisco, it looks like. And the ETF was, I think, started last month, so December 2020. But it's basically like a social justice ETF. When they say social justice, they talk about environmental justice, racial justice. I think as far as like
it was environmental. It's like two more.
It's two more, but it's like all across the board basically. Like for the LGBTQ plus, like everything as far as I guess sexuality and everything as well. So I thought it was pretty interesting that somebody twisted like or reframe capitalism in a way it's like, okay, you can buy something and only support companies that, you know, have a certain level of respect and acknowledgement and are at least trying, I guess, in a way to make progress on these issues. So I just shared it with Zach and I was just trying to see how he felt about it. So how do you feel about it?
I'm actually excited to actually check it out because being a Pan-Africanist, I know there's two sides of it. Like it's really just about unity of us. But I'm more so on the socialistic aspect. I'm on that side of it. Now there's also black capitalism. The whole problem with capitalism, as we said, is it exploits somebody else. But overall, being a Pan-Africanist, then I'm talking about unifying with people on the continent of Africa. Therefore, like if I'm invested in Apple or I'm invested in Amazon or I'm invested in some company that's actually exploiting people on the continent. Now we know that we have these phones because of a mineral called coltan and cobalt. Now me playing the capitalistic game, I'm also contributing to somebody or one of my brothers or sisters over there on the continent living in or having to work in environments that are detrimental to their health. Like I don't know if y'all ever got to check out the BBC documentary about the Congo, but they actually are digging in those tunnels with their hands. They have no structure set up for, like, when you're in the tunnel, there is no platform set up to make sure it doesn't collapse on you. When it rains, like it's flooding in there with you, but you still have to work in there all day long. I encourage anybody to please check out that documentary if you get the chance to, so that you can actually see what we are actually contributing to unconsciously whenever you're dealing or whenever you're trying to be an advocate for black capitalism. For me personally, I don't feel comfortable investing in something that I know is going to be hurting somebody else that looks like me and could be me if it wasn't for my great grandfather or grandmother running right instead of running left, and mine ended up on a ship and theirs didn't. So therefore, something like this with this ETF, I'm actually excited for it, because now I actually can feel comfortable investing in something or an entity, a company that is a proponent for positivity, you know, trying to have a great egalitarian future, you know, not necessarily just investing in oil, which we know is hurting the earth, you know, Mother Nature, where we can actually invest in green alternatives that will be better for not just us, but the earth and our entire environment. You know, we can't survive without earth. We can't survive without the vegetation, so why would I want to contribute to destroying that?
And I feel like overall, conceptually, it's just like it's just showing that there's a way that you can be inside, whether it's capitalism or socialism, where like you can, you know, make money and you not be a detriment to the world. Like, you can just add value and not be, you know, hurting people, hurting the environment, or, you know, discriminating against a certain group or groups. So I think that's the biggest thing about it. Is like you can do well and be well at making money and not, you know, be detrimental to everybody else in doing so. But that's it. You got anything else to say?
Nah, that's pretty much it. But side note, look up, just touching on that, look up cruelty-free chocolate. For example, that's just another example. Like chocolate comes from from
cacao.
Yeah, which we get from Africa as well. Our tires, like there's so many different things that we don't know that we're actually contributing to. But you can actually find cruelty-free chocolate here in Walmart. You know, like again, it may just be a quick little Google search, but you can find those alternatives.
Wow, that's crazy. It's crazy that, you know, I remember back when Kanye West made Diamonds from Sierra Leone, and he was talking about the same exact thing. Like, we don't ever think about the things that we possess and how they affect other people across the water. But it's the exact same thing. Like, we still, you know, are supporting things that may be a detriment to somebody else. So, but yeah, that's it, y'all. Like we were talking about earlier, this whole series is about just like uplifting people and like empowering ourselves to know what system we in, you know, with different ways to use that, but also like opening our minds to like how stuff can really be and how it could really work. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please drop a comment down below if you found anything in this video interesting, or if you know somebody that's doing something great that could like empower us to connect with each other and build each other up, like economically, you know, help each other with our dreams and like living our purposes. Because I feel like a lot of times we try to, you know, we work to do something, but we really want to do something else, and then we feel like that thing is our purpose, but we don't have the capital or the resources or that one person to help you out to get there. So I'm just trying to figure out, you know, who can help who and how I can connect people. So I'm just trying to be a catalyst for that, just like Zach's a catalyst for the movement for, I guess, social justice.
I would just say for our people, man.
For our people in general.
Empowerment, yeah.
So I'm trying to do that on the YouTube. We both is. So check out his channel, The Black Academic, on YouTube. Is it the or the?
On YouTube it's Black Academic THE, but on Instagram it's like DA. Somebody already took the, so like I might have to break some bread to get that, but just to cap on that, you never really know. I got the opportunity to be on a YouTube channel and ask a question that it literally has over 100,000 subscribers. I just asked one question and I put myself out there, and next thing I know, people are following me on Instagram. They found my Facebook, my Twitter, and people are reaching out to me. I had one person reach out to me and literally ask me, hey, is there anything that me and my wife can do to contribute to you? And I was surprised, like I was shocked, and that made me give me a little bit more fervor to go ahead and get my community projects going. Like, I don't necessarily want to, if it was something that's monetary that somebody's willing to give, I want to make sure it's going to something that's going towards the overall collective. I don't necessarily want to just go in my pocket, because my pocket might just be going to my gas, you know what I'm saying? So like I want to do bigger things out here. So I was elated to actually see a DM from somebody just saying like, yo, I see you doing great things out here, and I'm willing to contribute. So that was a beautiful moment for me, and I never thought something like that would happen.
That's what's up, man. Like, it's a lot of people who are like kind of thrown off by like everything that's going on this past year, and it's like, you know, I keep saying that you can't keep working for people that don't care about you. You can't keep spending your energy in stuff that doesn't serve you. But it's just like we're trying to get away from that. Like whether it's black capitalism or whatever, it's like you got to make sure that you're putting your energy into things that help serve you and others. But I know it's a lot of people, you know, you work for that job that don't care about black folks. Like I remember it was a trucking company in Florida that was firing people if they didn't vote for a certain candidate. Like, you know that companies aren't just companies, they're people, and like whoever runs that, they not messing with you. I want it to be where we can find somebody else to help us who actually care about us and want us to see us do better and not make us feel like, you know, we selling out our own people or selling ourselves.
Exactly.
And it's not helping anybody. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.